Hey guys, Brian from Boas here. I had a litter of Suriname Redtails a few weeks ago and the babies are doing great. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update video, show you some close-ups of the babies so you can see how they're doing. First, I wanted to show you the mother. This is a female who had her first litter just a couple weeks ago. She was actually born in 2014 and I was just growing her up, waiting for the right moment for her to go into breeding trials. She was produced by my friend Matthew Blackburn at World Class Boas, and I actually traded a baby from my first litter of Surinames from back in 2014 to Matt for this 2014 female from his litters. And she, as you can see, she has a little bit of a different look. She's got a lot of purples and lilac colors. She's kind of a dirty look as well, a lot of smudges, and you can see all the belly speckling. I always like to have animals that look a little bit different from the run-of-the-mill or the typical animals you'll see. I think people, when they're selectively breeding them, they all kind of look the same. So I like to have a lot of diversity in the different looks in my animals so I can cross them together and get all kinds of really cool combinations. But anyway, this female was finally ready to go and I paired her up late last year and she had her first litter. It was a relatively small litter of 6 live babies and 2 stillborns. Sometimes they just have small litters for the first litter. But the babies are doing great. This female Matt bred by crossing a Fudo bloodline animal with a wild-caught animal, so she brings lots of great new genes into my breeding projects, and real happy with the outcome. All the babies are doing great so far. I offered them their first meal right after they shed and they all ate it with no problem. It was a live fuzzy mouse. So I'll probably give them another meal or two of a live fuzzy and then switch them over to freeze thawed. And they almost always switch right over with these Suriname Redtails. It's not like some of the other boas, like the outed boas. They're real tricky to get to eat frozen thawed for the first time. And actually I sexed my babies today and the preliminary result was 2 females and 4 males. So I always double check, make sure, but with the Surinames it's pretty easy to sex them and I'm pretty much never wrong. I just, the obsessive compulsive part of me has to double check, make sure they're the right sex. So now I'm going to get out my close-up lens and let's have a look at some of these babies. So here's a female from the litter, one of the 2 females. You can see she's got these nice kind of thin peak saddles, real high contrast. And then she's got this nice dark red tail. So some of the other animals are not quite as light as this one. Maybe they're a little more colorful, but I really like the contrast in this one between the light and the dark. And just an altogether really nice looking animal. This one might end up being the holdback female that I keep, but I'll just have to see, which one grows on me. Give you guys a close-up so you can see some of the markings on the head and between the saddles there. Good sized babies, these guys. I don't know, they're not quite as big as some of my Peruvians, but bigger than some of my other Suriname babies. I'd say probably, I don't know, 21, 22 inches. But real nice example of a Suriname true red-tail boa. This is the other female from the litter, and she's pretty similar looking to her sister. I'd say she has a little bit darker of a background color and her sides are maybe a little more colorful, and also has these nice kind of thin peak saddles. I think they got their pattern from their father, although their saddles are a little bit thinner than his, but really cool look, real nice saddles on these 2 females. And then the tails on these 2 are kind of cool because you can see they've got quite a bit of white between the red, probably a thicker white band, almost as thick as the red. But just a different look. And a lot of Surinames, they don't have as much white in the tail, but these guys, you can see the red tail blotches are really a little more separated than I've seen in some other Suriname boas. And there's a close-up so you can see her head markings and some of the markings between her saddles. But both this one and the sister are just real nice solid females. I'd love to keep both of them, but at this point I really have to make some space. So one of these females will be available. I just don't know which one. It's always a hard choice, but real nice example. And here's a male, one of the 4 males from the litter. And what I notice about this litter is that they're really consistent. There's really not a lot of difference between the babies. In my Suriname litters, usually I see kind of more different looks, but these guys all look pretty similar with the peaky kind of thin saddles. This guy has a little bit different of a tail. You can see the red blotches are a little bit bigger, and he's kind of got this little, I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of a little aberrancy to the tail there with this kind of white blotch, and then he's got the typical red blotches like his sisters. But another really nice animal. This guy is a little more colorful, got some nice color on his sides, although that's really not coming out in this angle. And there's a close-up so you can see his markings. These animals are pretty docile. I thought he was kind of rearing up like he might strike out at me, but I don't think it was any aggression. And they don't hiss either. My baby Surinames typically hiss quite a bit, but not these guys. So there you can see kind of that white blotch. It's a little bit different. And that thick red blotch right there in the middle. Just another really nice looking high contrast Suriname true red-tailed boa. I'm going to show you guys one more animal for today's video. So here's another male. And I think this guy might be my favorite male, but of course these guys haven't been around that long, so haven't really had much of a chance to get to know them. But I like this guy. You can see he's kind of got thicker red blotches on his saddles. Really high contrast. One of the things I like about this guy is he's got this partial saddle. His 7th saddle is actually just kind of partial. That's it right there in the center. And some people would see this as, well, his saddle's not complete. But I've seen this quite often in Surinames, and I think it's kind of cool. It gives you a little bit different, It's like if it was too perfect and too symmetrical, that wouldn't be okay. But it's almost like a beauty mark on the face of a model. It's just this kind of different look. And there's the close-up. Maybe you can see that partial saddle right there in the middle. And we'll just give you a close-up down the length of this animal. Yeah, so this guy could very well be my holdback. But the other males are real nice too, so we'll just have to see. So those were some of the babies from my Suriname litter. And some of these guys will be for sale. I'm probably going to hold back a pair, a male and a female, for my future breeders. But the rest will be for sale, probably in a month to 2 months. I can't really say exactly, just have to see how it goes. I thought I would end by showing you the father. You've probably seen this guy before because I bring him out a lot, since he's definitely one of my favorites and quite possibly the nicest Suriname I've ever produced. This is a male from my 2014 litter. This guy was definitely the standout of the litter, and I knew right after he was born that he was something special. He was just so clean and beautiful, symmetrical peak saddles, the perfect size, and the long red tail. And I really like the personality of this guy too, because he's a little more mellow than some of my other Surinames, although he's kind of squeezing me pretty tight right now. And this guy this is his 2nd litter. He had his first last year with a different female. And he'll be in my breeding rotation for 2022. So great breeder, beautiful looking animal, just a top-notch animal right here. And this guy was produced, his mother was from a bloodline that was told to me was from the Tulsa Zoo in Oklahoma. And his father is a Fudo-Eckert cross. So one of the parents was a Fudo bloodline, the other one was an Eckert bloodline. And so this guy got, or the babies from this litter got some Fudo from the father, some Fudo from the mother. I don't know if it's the same. Of course, Bob Fudo worked with lots of different bloodlines, and people just say, well, it's Fudo bloodline, but that's really not all that meaningful. But, rest assured that these babies have a lot of really nice genetic heritage as far as true red-tailed genes in them. Anyway, this guy, beautiful animal. You know, great genes that he passed on to those babies, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the babies do as they grow up. And like I said, I'll probably hold back a pair, and the rest will be available in a couple of months. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video and like seeing the baby Surinames. As always, shoot me any questions or comments you have. Thanks for watching and enjoy your Boas.